Meow. Wow. Wow.
You! What are you doing here?
Oh, fancy seeing you here.
Fancy me. This is my apartment complex. I own this place.
Naturally. Listen, I've been summoned by a tenant of yours in 35. She's saying that there's a weird apparition of a feline nature haunting her or something. Do you know anything about
Well, she must be mistaken.
The haunting feline's name is Dan. Does that ring a bell, Maggie?
Dan? How dare you bring up Dan? Dan has been dead for 10 years.
Oh, interesting. Well, while I was doing the seance, I caught something about $150,000 hidden somewhere. Only Dan would know. Does that ring a bell to you at all?
A bell? Bells? No, it does not ring a bell. Why are you here in the first place? I don't believe this falderall.
Well, this whole thing is a second side job of mine. Mind you, I do tend bar at the Crib Memorial Orphan Fire Memorial Hospital. And on the side, I do trash. Why don't we bury trash? Why don't we bury the hatchet and you can get a drink with me at the Cribs Memorial Orphan Fire Memorial Burned Down Hospital with me, and we could settle all this in due time. What do you say?
Hatchet? There's nothing to bury between us. We've always been the best of colleagues in the show world.
Sure. Anyway, there was a lot of catnip around 35. You would know a lot about catnip, wouldn't you?
You'll never prove anything.
Oh, I see you still have that #1 award-winning Best in Show feline.
That's right. 3 times running.
Well, 3 times indeed. 3 times maybe cheated.
Yes, well, it's better than your no times running.
Well, until we meet again, Maggie McGill. Toodaloo.
Ugh.
Ugh.
All right, Susan, you can send them in.
Mr. Mayor.
Oliver, always such a special pleasure to see you in my office.
For me as well, Mr. Mayor. I've come on particular business today. I don't know if my architect and lawyer have sent you a prospectus, but I'm looking at taking over the fire department. My former wife, my deceased wife, Emerald, had a particular affinity for the fire department. She felt it was an artistic jewel in our community, and the firemen in and of themselves helped to make shelter the unique place that it is. So my proposal is to corporatize the fire department, extending efficiencies thereby, and renaming it the Emerald Snoot Memorial Fire Department.
Out of the goodness of your heart, of course.
The goodness of my heart and in memory of my dear wife.
Yes. It was such a tragedy what happened to her.
Well, yes, it was, but I can't really talk about it, I'm afraid. Litigation, you know.
Yes, well, of course. Of course, you must also know, Oliver, that I have a particular fondness for our fire department. I consider it, as you may call it, a crown jewel into the crown that is Shelter Place. As you know, it is very highly thought of, and that, in fact, our fire department most recently won first place in the Small Fire Department AAA/X division of the 2020 World Firefighting Association /potluck/dance-off competition. And I take that award very seriously. Now,
please, Mr. Mayor, please. We both know that that award was a joke. It was the Small Town Fire Department Subdivision Hyenas. Our fire department is composed of nothing but a bunch of gibbering hyenas. And if it wasn't for their excess of energy in the dance competition following the award ceremony, they probably wouldn't even been given that nominal award that they got.
Hyenas, yes, I can't deny that, but you're missing a very key thing. Highly trained hyenas, and they are getting better and better by the year. Why, in fact, they only ate 25 children this year. That's down at least like up 50% from what it was last year. We're clearly making progress. And it's progress that I'm worried about that would just not happen if we were to turn it over to some private citizen just to let them do whatever they want with it.
You are quite fortunate, Mr. Mayor, that it was 25 poor children, or else you would have heard much more about that. Now, we both know that the only reason that you believe the fire department is so qualified is that we haven't had a fire in Shelter since the orphanage fire so many years ago. If you have seen, as I have, the drills that those hyenas attempt to run, you would know that they would be hopeless in the case of a real fire. Now, if you allow me to corporatize the fire department, not only will I save the city money, as I am the current provider of the food, the uniforms, the gasoline for the tanker trucks, I'm leasing the equipment and the building to the fire department, I would be able to bring all those costs down, as well as bring in some more highly trained and, shall I say, human firefighters that might increase the efficiency of the fire patrol in general.
You talk about the lack of fires as if that's some kind of proof that our fire department is failing. It's certainly not their fault that nearly 50% of Shelter Place is made up of water parks. It's a very fortunate happenstance for us. And I must insist quite firmly, I am not about to release the fire department. Our hyenas are part of what makes our city, and I'm not going to let you homogenize that. I'm sorry, Oliver, but I'm going to have to put my foot down here and say, no, the fire department remains with the city.
I see. So that's your position.
Absolutely.
I'm afraid that I may have to call the lease on the building and the land that the fire department is currently on. If you will note in the leasing contracts, I can do that. The fire department will need to be vacated within 30 days, and my company will be taking possession of the current building.
That would be most bothersome. But I grant you that that is your right. That reminds me, by the way, Oliver, as you know, the town is up for local business renewals right now. We're looking over town business licenses and decided if they're up to code. I couldn't help but notice that you don't seem to have any local business licenses.
Of course not. The Snoot Corporation is incorporated in the state of Delaware. All of our business records are located there.
That's very interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. And do you know what's more interesting than that, Oliver?
Oh, tell me, Mr. Mayor.
I have a proposal, a bill, if you will, that I've been working on. Sort of I'd say it's a pet project, and I may very well present it to the town council soon. Essentially, my proposal is in order to build Shelter Place and to keep it as is with this small town charm, I am proposing to outlaw all businesses if they are not locally owned and operated. Now, it's a shame if that came into effect, because I could only imagine what kind of effect that would have on your foreign businesses.
Well, that might put a temporary kink in my operations. I would be curious as to how you're going to explain to your townspeople why the only grocery store in town is no longer open to them, why the only restaurant in town is no longer open to them, and why the bank has closed and they're not able to withdraw the funds that they have put inside as long as we're not allowed to open. But you may temporarily win by that. Within 6 months, 8 months, my legal team will have put an end to your little law. And until then, I will have possession of the fire department. Now, do you wish to turn the operations over to me as well, or do you have some other plans in mind?
I think we shall find alternative arrangements. You just must understand, it is not offense to you, but I want to make sure that somebody capable is in charge of the fire department. And I don't think you nor your quaint little business quite fits that bill.
I understand, Mr. Mayor. I hope wherever you move the fire department, you're allowed to put very high fencing up to keep the hyenas inside. You need to keep them in check.
That fencing won't quite be so much to keep them from getting outside. It's more keeping them safe from you, Oliver. And might I say, you seem stressed. The death of your wife seems to have taken some toll on you. Perhaps you ought to go visit the new nightclub in town, the crib at the Orphanage Fire Memorial Hospital at Shelter Place. I think a drink or two might do you good.
I'm making arrangements regarding that new business. I'm certain that you will see me there at one point or another. Until then, within 30 days, Mr. Mayor, the fire department needs to be out of the building. I will be taking possession.
30 days it is then, and until that day, please take good care of yourself. Life is very funny, one might say. You never know what might happen to somebody, and you have a daughter to think of.
Not very much. Good day, Mr. Mayor. I will see myself out.
As you always do.
Angora!
Natalie, what are you doing here?
Well, I am going door to door today to ask business owners to donate to the children's wing at the Orphanage Fire Memorial Hospital, and I wanted to see if you did.
What? Why are you doing that?
Oh, well, I volunteer with the kids there a couple of times a week, and right now they could really use some extra money to pay for, some new toys and extra clothes and things like that.
Don't they have parents?
Well, yeah, most of the kids have parents, but being in the hospital is really stressful, and sometimes it helps to just have some extra stuff laying around to help. Don't you have anything that you like to do to just help people?
No.
Well, this would be a great start. Do you think that you have some extra cash or anything laying around?
I'm surprised your daddy is even letting you run around town today. He usually has you on a pretty tight leash, doesn't he?
Well, that's true. He has his reasons, but Dad loves that I help in the community and things, so he's always fine to let me go do stuff like that.
I'm sure the charity is good politics for the mayor, especially since he doesn't have a pretty wife to tow around town anymore.
Well, he's used to it just being the two of us. Mom died when I was born, so it's been a really long time. He's used to it. Not like you and your dad. I heard about your mom, and I wanted to say I'm really sorry, Angora.
Well, don't be. If you knew her, you certainly wouldn't be sorry. Besides, as they say, she died doing what she loved, fighting over art at Christie's.
Well, either way, it's still really hard to lose somebody, and I'm sorry. And if you ever want to come and help me at the hospital, I'm sure that the kids would love you. And sometimes I feel better just helping out.
I'm not sure I own any leisure wear that would be appropriate for that sort of thing.
You do have very fancy taste, but all of your stuff is really beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you. Do you want to try on this new Prada I just got in? I think it could be your color. It's certainly not mine. But, the Shelter Place sweetheart should always be looking fresh, don't you think?
That's so kind of you, Angora, and I really appreciate it. I don't think I need to be spending any money right now, especially when I'm going around asking people to give me donations. But thank you. That's really nice of you.
Well, I mean, we're going to have somebody come in and scoop it up. I'm sure, customers will just be chomping at the bit once they see all my new inventory.
I'm sure they will, because it's also lovely. You really do have great taste. And maybe someday I'll be able to come and shop in here. I don't feel ready for that.
You don't think Daddy would approve, you mean? Why does he control you so much?
I don't know that I'd say he controls me. I think he's just really protective. I mean, I don't know if you know, but I have a bit of a condition, the same thing that killed my mom, actually. And so I think he's just afraid to lose someone else. And so he has his rules, and, I really don't mind following them because he's a great dad, and I'm really happy.
So trusting. I wonder what that's like.
So you and your dad don't get along?
Oh, well, I mean, Daddy, it's all about turning a profit. Besides, you gotta look out for yourself in this world. Most everyone else does.
I know a lot of people feel that way, but I'd like to be your friend if I could, Angora, and everybody needs somebody else too.
I don't have friends.
Well, I'm going to try to change that for you. But for now, I really should be getting back. I think I have a few more places to hit before I get to the hospital. Are you sure you don't want to donate anything?
Oh, well, since you've been so nice, I suppose I could give you last season's Coach bag. The kids will love it.
Thank you so much, Angora. They will love this, and I will make sure they know exactly where this came from.
Oh,
that'll be great.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, just don't let them know that it's some kind of endless supply or anything.
I'll be
Maybe
sure.
I will see you on my way in for a drink at the crib at the Burnt Orphanage Memorial Hospital.
The crib?
The club at the top of the hospital. That's really the only time I ever go there.
Oh, the really bright lights that come off the roof. That's what that is. I never knew.
Wow. It's a pretty small world you're living in there, dear Natalie. I suppose you should be running along then.
You're right. I do need to get to the hospital in time, and then Dad will be waiting at home. But it was really good to see you, and thanks for donating.
I'd say anytime, but I don't really mean it.
Honesty. I like that. I'll see you soon, Angora.
Bye-bye.